Not looking.
And not really.
Yeah, okay. Hi, Pina. We can't hear you.
Ajahn Suchin is ready.
Yeah.
There's a message there.
Ajahn.
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์
สวัสดีค่ะท่านอาจารย์
สวัสดีครับสวัสดีครับอาจารย์ครับ
Does anyone have something left over from last week? It seems to me we were in the midst of something, and I'm sorry I didn't take a note of it. Sarah, did you?
What did we talk?
Well, that's
What
what
did
I'm
we talk about last week?
Well, I was just trying to think if I have notes here about the last thing we spoke of.
I think at the end you were talking, the two things at the end. One was you were asking about the vipalasas, the perversions, and also there was a discussion about the gradual development and when people seem to be enlightened out of the blue. Actually, it's been a gradual development over many lifetimes and aeons.
Right.
And there was a good comment maybe towards the end about whenever anyone cries or takes anything very seriously, it shows there's no understanding of the truth, because actually each reality arises and falls away instantly. But because of not understanding it, it's taken very seriously and taken as something or someone, but actually it's gone already. By the time there's any thinking or dwelling or being concerned or obsessed about it.
Yes, that was actually earlier in the discussion, but
It might have been, yes.
Yeah, I heard it, I listened to it again today, and it was there. It was very good. Because we do take things ourselves and other things so seriously sometimes.
And it also included a discussion about, I don't remember if it was last week or the week before, because I never listen over, but taking special experiences as very important and clinging to them with attachment, not letting go, the clinging, the grasping always clings to something as so important or so special, not letting it go and being enslaved to just wanting to experience it again and again, or wanting to get some special experience in the future, and what a hindrance this is.
When you think about it, a lot of that is all about me, the special experience.
All the problems in life are about me.
That's, yeah.
Not understanding anything about the truth of reality. Now it's just a Dharma which arises and passes away instantly. So the letting go is the letting go of the idea of me, clinging to me as something important or something existing. So there's all that clinging, and it's just to the imaginary I and my experience.
Right. Right. Ajahn, I have, it's not so much a question as something I'd be interested in hearing you talk more about. You've spoken over the years about courage and, asked, do you have the courage to understand? Can you talk a bit about that, please? Courage?
Is it there now? Just to condition thinking carefully, wisely about what is there. When we talk about anything, for example, courage, if we don't listen and we do many things so very easily, is that courageous to be like that in order to understand what is there? So to do thing is not to understand thing. It's just do like wanting so much of what conditions right there at that very moment, but to understand the truth. Understand the truth. So where is the truth? And we have heard about the teachings of the Buddha. Even he himself said it's so very deep, so very subtle. And what about now? what is subtle and what is deep. It seems very easy just to listen and take it very easily as we understand. But what is the depth or the subtlety of what is there right now? That's right. Instead of thinking about that which is heard, there should be a little more understanding of the depth, of the subtlety of each one. For example, like courage, we just talk about where is it? And can there be the understanding of it? Just talk about it or understand the nature of it one by one, not by self. So the most important thing is the goal, the truth, the absolute truth is actually there is nothing if nothing arises at all. So what is now there is conditioned to arise to be just that. It's before one can think that I will do this and that. Actually, it's that each moment as it is, as no one and nothing at all. Even thinking right now, see, hearing right now, seeing right now, they cannot be taken for anything permanent at all. Because in truth, the enlightened moment of the Buddha just realize the truth of that which is there now as it is. It's there by conditions so very, very short and then gone. And what are they? Because of his accumulation of great wisdom to be Buddha himself, he could understand everything much more than we can imagine. That's why we heard about what he taught one by one, little by little, and begin to understand the subtlety of each one as it is. For example, we have heard about the word courage. Is it now? What about now? It's seeing, which is there to be studied, to understand its nature. But at moment of thinking about courage, no understanding of seeing, no understanding of what is there. It has to be just like this because we cannot understand the subtlety of each one as no thing and no self. No matter is the word courage or seeing or hearing or thinking or liking. It's just what is heard while they are now conditioned to arise and fall away all the time. That's right. Not hearing or understand the teachings is just like the one who is blind. Everything is just in blindness, no understanding of what is that as it is. And this is the subtlety of listen again and again and again. And Panya begin to see how ignorant one has accumulated not to understand the absolute truth, which is so very deep down right now, very fast, that without understanding the truth that actually there's no one firmer and firmer, it's impossible to let go that which has been clung for eons and eons ago, uncountable eons. That's why it's not as very easy to just take the word and try to understand it. But what is that now? See, even this, just the first word we heard about Dhamma, see, no one and no thing. That's why beginning to consider it at any moment when what is there by conditions, which is not just like that at all in the beginning. That's why even right now, everything is there. What about the subtlety, the profoundness of the truth, which is there, unknown? That's why I listen to condition, the understanding, not I, but the understanding which can understand from what is heard, apply it to what is there now as what is heard. So that is the truth, no one there at all. And this is the way to develop, and that is courageous, right? But what about now? When seeing now is not known as it is, thinking now is not known as it is, does courage appear like seeing now and hearing now and thinking now? Everything is gone instantly all the time. Otherwise, there can be the understanding of the danger of why that arises and falls away by conditions non-stop. Changes never be the same at all. In samsara, in this life, from birth to death, not just one reality or one single moment arising and falling away, but when it's gone, it's completely gone, never to return at all. And why there is clinging, not understand the truth, because what is there does not appear as it is, as that which is conditioned, arising and falling away. It appears as something with shape and form, and the idea of that is there all the time. That's why this is the difference between the subtlety of the truth and that which is just like now, very easy to take it for something very permanent too. That's why we consider each word right now, like, is there asava? Why do we say asava? Why Buddha taught about asava? Is it different from other moments? And what about anusaya? It's there now all the time. Study little by little to understand each moment. What is it? At moment when there's no wanting anything, it's there. But there is attachment, unknown, all the time. At moment of seeing, is there no attachment to seeing? See, begin to study to understand that actually the unknown reality is there. So many, many moments in life, from the moment waking up to the moment of falling asleep, is there unknown about what is there, because it's so natural as something, because of ignorance, not knowing that it's not there anymore at all. That's why hearing about the depth or the subtlety of realities is there. That's why they cannot be just, I understand, or I understand. Someone said that he or she has experienced the truth. It's there, arising and falling away. See, how come? What is the subtlety of what is there? That Buddha had to develop great wisdom to enlighten the truth, to share, to tell the other, who cannot be able to understand the truth by oneself. No thought about whatever is there at all. Just cling and take it for something from life to life. And this is this very moment. So any word we heard about, the characteristic of that is a reality which experiences, or the reality which cannot experience, all there in a day. See, why do we talk about the two different reality characteristics? Because they are different, and they are there from moment to moment, different one, never be the same at all, unknown all the time. So the firm confidence of the truth, the satya, to be true to the truth, have to be at moment of listening to each word. Like Dhamma is so very subtle. See, so subtle that it does not appear as it is. It appears as something. The reality which cannot experience anything, does not have any kind of experiencing or know anything at all. It's just there. It does know that it's hard, it's soft, it's sweet, it's bitter or anything, but it's there. Nobody can change the characteristic of that. But what about moment of seeing? It experiences or it knows the characteristic of that which is seen. And at that moment, who knows that there is not just that which experience, but there are also other realities arising together, condition one another, just in a moment, and then fall away. All the time, but different ones, never be the same, never to arise again. And this can be the beginning of the development of understanding the subtlety of whatever is there, and begin to understand the great wisdom of the Buddha, and understand that this is just the beginning, to pay attention, to listen, to see that it's so very precious to understand the truth. See, who doesn't like to understand the truth? Who just want to be foolish, ignorant, just live and then die? No matter what is there happening, what condition it, no understanding at all. Just cling and cling and cling, on and on and on, from life to life. That's why without the accumulation of seeing the benefit of just what about understanding it, it doesn't hurt at all, but it brings just the good result and good thing to understand the truth. This is the best thing in samsara. That's why it is a panya only which can see the value of understanding, that it can understand the truth. And the truth is now, right now. But not as we thought, as before, much far away from its nature, which just arises and falls away in split seconds. The word of truth is that actually there must be nothing but that which experiences, and the object, only one object. Where's the world? That is the world of seeing. So very clear, without this moment, there cannot be the world which full of flowers and things, people, and whatever is there. So it comes from just a moment of experiencing an object, but it falls away so very rapidly. That's why what appears is just a succession of that which is experienced as something with different color, condition, different idea, different shape and form, as different things. That's all, even right now. And that is the subtlety of the truth of reality. That's why if we don't understand this, how can the development of understanding truth can be in the right way? Because it's motivated by attachment and ignorance, change the way of development to thinking that it can be done, and understand that that which arises and falls away now by thought is true, but actually it's only thinking. No understanding of even thinking is there by conditions. That's why no matter we talk about phassa, see, vedana and sanya and courage, they are real, but it depends on whether it's there as the object of understanding or not. For example, right now, phassa does not appear, but seeing is there. And it's not just the seeing, it's the nimitta of moments of experiencing, but those realities cannot perform the function of just seeing. So seeing is different from other citta. And the other citta, even it cannot see as seeing, but it can experience the same object, because that object which is experienced hasn't fallen away yet. That's why it just experiences the same object as seeing, but with different conditions, like with vitaka or with virya, and what we say, courage, and on and on. It's just the name to understand the truth, the different levels of the nature of that characteristic. For example, right now, who knows asava? If Buddha didn't point out what is there now is there, when there is no moment of just like to do this or want to do this or stretching the hand all the time at this moment to this and that, see? And that can be known, so it's not asava. But when it does not appear as wanting something to be done or to do or to think, it's there. That's why the idea of self is there unknowingly. 3 moments after seeing, 3 moments after hearing, this is the sense object. And what about the mind process? It just receives each adavana from the 5 sense doors, and the sankhara khanda just perform the function in a moment, only in a moment, but condition more different realities in different manners. Like thinking about courageous while the other thinking about the other thing. And it's that just a moment, and then thinking keeps on to other moments all the time. And is this not this moment so very deep? Because actually the truth of it is not as it appears, very permanent. Nothing arises and falls away at all. But how come to be just different moment, different people, different thinking, different that which you see unknowingly? When someone comes in, see, different object, unknown, take it for something all the time. The story of what is there as very fantasy. So just understand, well, no matter what, that is a reality. We don't have to name it or call it, but begin to be familiar with that characteristic which is there. If just a leaf is dropping down, there's any idea about the change of moment to moment? Very, very fast.
And you're asking then about courage, and I think it is such a loaded, excuse me, I think it is such a loaded word in our culture, of course, you know, when we think of the word courage. And of course, when it comes to Dhamma, it's always going to require understanding to be courageous, because in a way it means like paying tribute to the present moment, and having the patience to, or the courage, if you like, to continually pursue that truth. And a lot of people, it seemed to me too, are unable to be courageous in the way that we're speaking about, because you know, they haven't got that understanding, or mostly, of course, because they have got their own version of the truth, and it makes it difficult for them to be courageous in that way. And you know, this is why we're very fortunate with Tanajan to help us to understand what really is true. And I think, of course, that enables us to be courageous.
Yes. Without any understanding, as you say, without patience, it wouldn't happen.
And we could say it's an aspect of understanding, just as patience is an aspect of understanding.
Well thought.
These aspects don't necessarily manifest on every occasion that there is understanding. They are not qualities to be developed separately from understanding, but they are given as aspects of understanding to help us appreciate the power of understanding.
There are aspects of understanding. I agree. I see that completely. I think also they are aspects of it. What was I going to say? They're a result of understanding as well. Courage is a result of understanding. The more understanding there is, the more confidence there is in what we hear of the Dhamma, and the more confidence, I think, the more one is motivated to carry on, to continue listening. It's conditions for more, more studying.
Usually we think of,
wouldn't be just like motivated to come here, listen, and or open a book, but that moment can also be lopa. You wouldn't call that.
No, you wouldn't.
yeah, usually we think in terms of a situation. We think of the situation of studying Dhamma as being with courage, or another situation as being with unwholesome courage, like jumping off a cliff or something like this. So we think of a situation, but it's helpful to think in terms of just a reality. For
Right.
example, kusala or akusala virya for a moment.
Mhm.
And at almost every kusala or akusala citta, it's with either wholesome or unwholesome virya, but mostly what we conventionally take for courage is all akusala virya,
Right.
virya, akusala courage. So the kusala courage, the kusala virya, is just for a moment, like at a moment with understanding, at a moment of kusala only, and then gone. So it's not a situation that lasts for 5 minutes or even 2 minutes or 1 minute. It's just for a moment and
Right.
then gone. Like patience, the same, can be kusala and akusala patience, but true khanti, it arises with the wholesome citta, especially the citta with understanding, just for a moment and then gone instantly.
Right.
And no one to be courageous, no one to have courage to study, because it's just a Dhamma. And if it appears, it appears. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But in any case, it's gone instantly.
They're definitely different from what we consider as conventional.
Yeah.
Conventional courage. I have to get up my courage to do something. That's not what it's meant at
And
all.
is it there now, when there's the idea of I having courage, or I understanding or studying Dhamma? Then the answer is no, kusala courage is not there. It's akusala courage at those moments.
And the Buddha, excuse me, and he used often the words which were in common acceptance of the day, and he gave them, obviously, like Ajahn has done with the word courage, because I remember coming across once when someone asked the Buddha, because he was from the Kshatriya clan, he was the warrior caste, and someone once asked him, how come, many of you guys are from the Kshatriya caste and or the warrior caste, and you're bhikkhus or samanas? And he said, warriors are we. So we always can imbue whatever word, as the Buddha often did, with another meaning. And of course, Ajahn and others this morning have reflected that.
Yes.
I mean, what's the real enemy? It's the kilesas, right?
Yes, for sure.
And when we read about the paramis, we read about the development of courage, the development of kusala virya, and the great courage needed to develop understanding. Without understanding, there cannot be any development of courage, and without the development of courage, there cannot be the development of understanding to attain enlightenment. So it has to develop with understanding.
For sure.
And of course, too, there is the case of the it's called the one of the suttas. I'm just trying to remember it now. The one that's when the Buddha was speaking to Rahula about truth speaking, and because he had been misbehaving apparently, and giving people misinformation about where the Buddha was, and he was apparently had been deliberately misleading him, but and he gave that powerful example of the elephants, who can withstand, many a well-established war elephant. It's trained to withstand the incredible trauma and difficulties that were in battle. And of course, he was making the analogy that, this is what a summoner does. He is somebody who understands and accepts in many ways like the elephant, the difficulties that life will present. And he deals with them, obviously, through wisdom. And of course, so he's using the analogy of the elephant who withstands all the arrows and the spears and the what have you, an incredible noise with fortitude and of course, in the case of the summoner, with wisdom, rather than buying into, in a sense, or taking all the hooks that often society throws at us in different ways. And this is, the Buddha often speaks about this too, about what is a true Brahman. So it's the same sort of territory, really. What constitutes, it's to do with Ajahn, as Ajahn would remind us, about behavior of chitta. It's not on, what cloak or garb that we're wearing. It's what's the quality of the chitta. And essentially that's what really courage will be about. Not the not whether you're a Brahmana or a Satriya or whatever. And of course the Buddha used that for about defining what is a bhikkhu. This aspect, essentially that would come down to being somebody who is courageous, somebody who's honorable, somebody who's trustworthy, etc. All the qualities sometimes that we don't necessarily associate with courage. But of course, we know they do represent a very strong vein of courage. It's a commitment to truth, which, Ajahn can certainly remind us about.
What's the nature of courage? What is the truth, the absolute truth of what we say, courage?
Virya, Ajahn?
Yes, see, and who knows that it's there now. So the
Only-
courage does not appear as what is now appearing, but from hearing again and again, it conditioned moment of begin to attend to the characteristic, the truth of that which is now appearing, instead of thinking about other things, which is there, like courage, see, at moment of not seeing. How many chittas arising with courage or virya, see, no one knows, but it's there. So only when it appears as just a little bit of its characteristic to be known, it can be known. You need patience or virya to do such and such, which is not easy at all. So to understand the teaching is not easy at all. So we begin to understand what is there. When there's no seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, there must be many different realities unknown by oneself. But while hearing about it, one begins to see the characteristic, which is different from other reality, like virya. See, virya is cetasika. It doesn't arise at moment of seeing. See, who knows? To understand the truth that how short the moment of seeing is, the actual moment is so very, very short because it's not there. But it appears as it's there all day, before going to sleep or at moment of sleeping, there's no, that which now appearing through the eye, the visible object. See, all are in darkness, not understand the truth. This is the subtlety of what is there. We are talking about while it is there. So learn about what are there, which do not appear, only that which appear. So how can the object would be for understanding? Only at moment when it's there, see? That's why before there can be moment of direct awareness of that which is now appearing, it takes quite a long time to understand. No matter what appears seems very different, very strange, very fantasy. What about understanding it and let go that which cling to it as something, see? Is there no need for Vriya to develop with right understanding, to know that that is not enough, just understanding the word is not enough, because the truth is there appearing. So right understanding develops very slowly, very gradually against the current of kilesa. It has to break through the flood moment of attachment and ignorance all the time in a day. And that is the beginning to understand the subtlety of the reality. So it's the right way to develop, not just try or hurry to understand this or that, but to understand that actually, if there's not yet the understanding of the truth of that which is now appearing, it's just thinking about everything that we heard. But what we heard conditioned moment enough to understand what can be understood, or what can be the object which now appearing for understanding too, when there's conditions for understanding, to understand the truth of it, because it's there. It cannot be changed. It is that which is seen, only reality that can be seen. No matter what reality is, only one can be seen, is that now. As to be known, as it cannot be anything. It is only that which can be seen. See, when we talk about the subtlety of each reality, it can condition, panya begins to develop on and on naturally. Even courage is there, for sure, but it does not appear. That's why just understand the real characteristic of that which appears as it truly is. It cannot be anything. No window, no telephone, no television screen, and anything at all. It's only that which is now appearing. See, just follow the truth. Now, little by little, it's only that which is seen. And that which is seen is not anything at all. It's not just tried not to see it as something that is wrong, because no understanding at all at moment of trying the wrong way, but the right way to understand it. When this is still appear as something, it means that the true characteristic of that reality does not show up yet, because even it's there, only the panya, the developed panya, enough to appear to panya as it is, because at that moment there's no doubt about that which is there, the development of understanding directly, little by little. So what is there which does not appear, and we try to think it, to make it? And what about that which is now appearing? When will it be the object of understanding of its truth? The right understanding knows what is the right path and what is wrong. Otherwise, right understanding cannot develop to the degree that it can let go what is there, which is clung to as something. in a day, not just seeing and whisper object, everything. And this is courage, right? Taking time to understand the truth. How long will it be? And so natural, by conditions, unexpectedly, just like now, or unexpected moment, but they do not appear as they are. That's why the wrong understanding, cling to it, take it from me or something is there. So much and on when there's no understanding of that which is now appearing. And no one can force awareness to directly aware, to be aware of that which is now. By condition is there unknowingly, see, by conditions. That's why the firm understanding of conditions reality is there. No one nothing, little by little, from life to life. And this is so very natural. Because it's not the idea of self who try to distort the truth. Patience, courage.
I think what you said then, Tanajan, was that I appreciate how often we try to distort the truth, or we do distort the truth, and that's probably a good translation of the word vipalasa. It's, you know, there's this distortion, whatever word you use is not so important, but it's helpful to see how much distortion there is going on much of the time. And I appreciated too before, Tanajan, when you talked about the tide of ignorance, or how there's a continual flood, the yoga that are coming up against us, so to speak, because of our ignorance, and the incredible patience and courage, if you like, again, that is needed to deal with that ignorance. And it seems sometimes that there is little hope in view of this incredible ogre that is continually there. So I imagine we just need to trust and have more and more courage, because it's not another choice, really.
So Panya can understand what Buddha meant from each word, that the flood, see, yoga, oka, asva, kilesa, nivarana, and so on, because it's the unknown. So the word of the enlightened one just pointed to that very, very moment, that very, very reality, just one by one. To have less doubt and less ignorance. Otherwise, the reality cannot appear as it is, because it cannot appear to ignorance as it is. No matter it is appeared as right now, ignorance is there. So it cannot understand the truth until right understanding developed little by little from the first stage, the intellectual understanding, to be firm of the truth of what is that taught by the enlightened one. What is seen cannot be anything, because it's only that which can impinge on the eye base, and that can be object of the developed panya. Because if other thing is there, no right or clear understanding, comprehension as vipassana is there at all. Because it has to be the stage, because of the object appears as it is of that stage.
And when the energy, the virya, develops with understanding, it becomes firmer and firmer until it's an indriya and a bala, a power, and then it's unshakable. There's the firm awareness and understanding reality. And so that virya, that courage, becomes very firmly established. And it says in the text about virya is the state of the courageous one, and it overcomes idleness as a controlling faculty and becomes predominant. So it just becomes firmer and firmer, more and more established with the development of understanding until it is in Indriya and Abhala. And I think it talks somewhere about the Buddha, the one with courage, with virya, the one that has developed the 4 right efforts. So that one is courageous and steadfast. That's the meaning of courageous. That's why we have the word vira, meaning hero, like Vira.
And that, of course, is related to the word virya. And that's where we get vira from.
Yes, vira and virya. And it's this moment when understanding is developing. There is the development of virya, wholesome virya and courage right now. And less doubt, more confidence in the truth until it is a power, a fact, and unshakable.
Sarah, may I ask a question about, you talk about 4 right effort. So as I know, they are Chanda, Virya, and Chitta, and Dhamma, Virya, something like this. But I did not clearly understand about the third one. Is it the Chitta or and the 4 Dhamma?
When we're talking about the 4 right efforts, these are all aspects of virya Chaitasika, not the other Chaitasikas. So there is the effort to prevent a kusala that hasn't arisen from arising, and there is the virya, the effort to maintain kusala that has arisen, and so on. So it's all referring to the development of virya now. For example, at this moment of kusala, moment of understanding, no akusala is arising, and the kusala that has been accumulated is developing, and it conditions kusala virya in future. So they're just referring to different aspects of virya, right effort at this moment.
So effort can be wrong and can be right. So at the moment we listen the Dhamma discussion, maybe can be wrong understanding and can be right understanding.
Exactly. And we also have to consider which chittas virya arises with. Virya arises with every chitta except for 16 of the ahetuka chittas. So that means at the moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, for example, no virya at the following 2 vipaka chittas, no virya. But whenever kusala or akusala chittas arise, virya has to arise with them. So if the considering of Dharma now is with wise attention is kusala, then the virya must be kusala. But if there's thinking about what has been heard with doubt or attachment, then it has to be akusala virya at those moments with the citta. So it just arises for a moment. That's why I was saying to Anne earlier, we think of a situation as being a courageous situation or having right effort, but it's just arising for a moment with kusala cittas. So even now, virya is there most moments, but sometimes kusala, sometimes akusala, moments of listening carefully and moments of looking out of the window or having doubt or wondering what the point is. So many akusala moments, even during a Dhamma discussion. So the question is, what is there now? Without any understanding, it can't be known. So
Okay,
whatever we're talking about, it's just a reality that arises for a moment and then is gone, not my courage or my effort.
So I understand what you mean. If we, at the moment we listen the Dhamma discussion, we can be look out the window, thinking the different way. So this is not the right effort.
Well, even at that moment of looking out of the window, there can be understanding because visible object appears, sound appears. So
Okay.
there may be kusala citta. That now one might be listening to the sounds, but there may be doubt or boredom or attachment. So at that moment, it's wrong effort with the akusala citta. So it all comes back to this moment. And without any understanding, it can't be known. And whatever kind of effort, whatever kind of virya, it's conditioned. Just like the citta that arises with is conditioned. It can't be any other way.
So we can say anything, exactly because different moment, different reality. Only
We can't say this situation is with right effort, such as listening to Dharma, and another situation like us looking out of the window is wrong effort, because as Ajahn mentioned, the Dharma is so deep and subtle, and it just comes back to this very moment. At this very moment, no matter looking out of the window or putting the shopping away, there is reality. Is there any understanding? If there is understanding, it is kusala virya, right effort. But when there's no understanding and just following with attachment as usual, then it's akusala virya.
So only the moment at the Satipatana, that time virya is right, with understanding, with many association with the Dhamma. Do you know what I mean? Only the development of the Satipatana, we can say the right effort, is it?
Only when it's Satipatana, the four right efforts are being developed. Before that, like when there's considering rightly, like now, there's the beginning of understanding and the beginning of development of kusala virya with understanding, but it's not the direct understanding of the reality. It's not the direct understanding of virya or any other reality. But it has to develop from considering. Like before we heard about the Dhamma, we would have no idea that virya is just a reality that arises for a moment and then is gone, not my effort and not a particular situation. So without that considering, it cannot develop. There cannot be the letting go of the idea of I making an effort, I doing something.
Okay, thank you. I just double check what I listen about Viriya. What about situation? Viriya is the moment of listen can be development, understanding one day by direct understanding about Viriya, the characteristics. So I have, okay, I understand what you tell me. Okay, thank you.
And the test is always now. So at this moment, who knows whether it's kusala or akusala virya, because if it doesn't appear, it's just speculating about it. But by understanding a little more that even now, most of the time, lobha follows instantly after what is seen or heard, then we begin to realize that most of what we take for being kusala effort or right effort is actually akusala effort with attachment. But at moments of wise considering or understanding, wholesome effort, wholesome virya is there. But only when understanding develops will it be known more precisely.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Hong.
Yesterday in the Vietnamese discussions, we were talking about sati. And there was a question about the proximate cause for sati. And in the text, we read that it is tirasanya and Satipatthana. Could you please help to explain about these two proximate causes? Thank you.
As we know, the tirasanya is the firm remembrance of the object for awareness to be aware of, and it has to be the wholesome, firm remembrance. Without sanya, there cannot be awareness of any reality. For example, just now talking about virya, without hearing about the details and considering, without the firm remembrance of what the reality is, there cannot be awareness or understanding of it. And I think when it mentions Satipatthana, it just mentions that for sati to develop as Satipatthana, there has to be the firm remembrance and the right understanding to understand what that reality is. So that's why it always develops with understanding. But Ajahn can add more.
What is firm remembrance now?
Remembrance of Dhamma as anatta.
Really? Or as atta now?
Yes, I thought you were asking about what is firm remembrance now. No, not at the moment.
This very moment, there must be sanya.
Yes.
So, is it firm or what?
I would say it depends. It depends. It cannot be firm in the sense of the conditions for direct understanding, but there can be firm confidence that and firm remembrance at that moment, at this moment. Seeing or hearing is anatta.
There must be sanya right now. And it's so firm that there's something, right?
That is firmer for sure, yes.
That's why How can there be Satipatthana as long as the sanya so very firm to take whatever is there as something? Atta sanya, not anatta sanya. So even just very short word, firm remembrance, it has to be with panya, which begin to develop the understanding of that object as what one has heard. That is only that which is seen. The term only that which can be seen. How short it is. Because it has to impinge on the eye base. See, is this firm enough to condition right understanding of that which is now seen now? Why not? Because it's not firm enough. Because the firm sanya of something is also firm from birth. Something unknown there. It's something already, see? Not the direct experience of that which arises and falls away at all. Because even that is not firm enough to condition right understanding directly of that which now appears as usual. But usual, there's no understanding. But at the moment when there is a little understanding of that is our reality, it's there. We do not have to look for it somewhere else. It's all the time, but it's not known as it is. That's why the word of truth condition the moment of understanding the nature of it. But from hearing only, what is there appear as a permanent thing, something there. See, so the firm sanya is no one. It's only moment of understanding and have more confidence of the reality as it's just there, only when it's there. But when it's not there, how can there be still the idea of something? It's that firm sanya of nothing there anymore. So firm sanya or thira sanya now doesn't mean that firm as usual as a thing, but it's firm to understand the truth. Beginning to develop right understanding. That right understanding has to be of that which is now appearing. Firm to be directly understanding a characteristic, only one there. Otherwise, it's not firm. To be Satipatthana. That's why each word should be understood as it is. Sati at level of dana, sila, and so on, at level of samadhi, peacefulness or calm, see, and sati, which arises with panya at moment of hearing. At moment of hearing, sati is not panya, and panya cannot be sati or any other reality. It is moment of understanding, just arise to understand from the assistance or whatever arises with it, like manasikara, right attention and so on, and viriya and so on. So many reality arising together at moment of only a wholesome moment there, unknown. See, so what can be known? Tirasanya, remember that it has to be just when that appears. If it does not appear, how can anyone try to know it? It's only try to think about it, but not to experience it, because all dhammas are anatta. All depends on condition. It's not wishful thinking to have such and such as object and thinking that that is such and such satipatthana. But what about understanding? Where is the tirasanya, the firm memory, remembrance of no one at all, even right now? Even right now, no shape, no form, nothing. Just one reality at a time appearing. For example, at moment of the visible object or that which appears now appears, there cannot be anything at all. This is firm enough, tirasanya enough to understand the truth when it's there. See, all are anatta. Nobody can control because each moment is conditioned. It can be understanding right now. Even thinking is there already who arranged it, who prepared to arise. Never at all. It's there. So soon, so sudden, by conditions. That's why the firm understanding of no one there can condition right understanding of that which is now appearing, of its truth, of its characteristic. We don't have to say that that is Satipatana. But what is the patana, the object of understanding? It's just like daily life, very natural, very simple, very common. But no understanding, and with understanding, it's different. That's why, how come to have the moment of Satipatana if there's no firm tirasanya of the truth that actually what appears is not as it is, because it appears as something with shape and form. But actually, only just a dot on the paper can it be any shape or form at all, just a moment of seeing and gone. But the rapidity of the arising and falling away, uncountable, unexpected, no one can count at all, is there. So as soon as one opens one's eyes, everything is there, so many, many things. And when one just closes one's eyes, where are they? Gone. So what is meant? The world of sight, the world of visible object, it's there by conditions, no one at all. If there is no such understanding enough, so firm, how can there be moment of understanding that characteristic as it is? Little by little. It's the moment of panya, the intellectual understanding, begin to apply and develop the function of understanding that which is now appearing. Otherwise, it's only the word, tirasanya, and sanya of what? See, how can it condition moment of understanding what is there as it is, just as one has heard and have more confidence of the truth?
Ajahn, when we hear the term proximate cause, most people will think of something that precedes the result of the cause. So in the case of understanding, they will think that it's something that precedes the understanding. So I'm not sure if that's the case with tirasanya, because I gather from what you say and what we've discussed previously that it is the sanya that co-arises together with panya. Could you comment on that, please?
That's why we have to understand the difference of sanya. For example, sanya, which is the cause, kusala or akusala, or sanya, which is the result. The at moment of seeing is not moment of understanding. So how come to be tirasanya? It has to arise with understanding. When we talk about Dipatana, or the development of right understanding of what is there now, we don't talk about the honorary sanya, which arises with each moment. And even so, they are different, unknown, by way that it is kusala, the cause, arising with akusala citta, or it is the result, arising with the vipaka citta. That's why if there's no hearing, no kusala with right understanding, it's impossible to have the moment of understanding what is there with awareness of that object, of the characteristic, a particular one. See, even right now, all depends on others. Even sanya depends on panya. If there is no panya at all, and sanya, which is kusala, arising with panya, how can it condition the moment of kusala again, of the sanya, which must and remembers the understanding of the words of truth, of what is now appearing, to learn to understand the truth of it. It's not moment of seeing. Sanya at moment of seeing is sanya at moment of developing understanding with panya. See? So very, very details, very, very fine and very refined of everything is there, beyond any word, because that which has arisen, completely gone, absolutely, never to return. And what is someone or something? Not at all. Only different realities, conditioned just to be there, as it is, but no one knows until the enlightenment of the Buddha. So we can hear about the truth of what is there, little by little, to be so true to the truth, how much understanding of the truth, or it just begin to have a little more understanding to implant so that it can grow firmer and firmer to understand the truth, which is just there, never change, no matter who understand it or not, no matter the moment of experiencing it, experience with what? No idea, no thought at all, because it cannot experience. And this is the nature of what we take for something in life, from life to life, not understanding the truth. So at this moment of understanding, it's kind of letting go, that we chain one in the samsara, arising and falling away non-stop. But it's just beginning to see the danger of life. But just one word is not enough. That's why it needs thira sanya, to have more, to remember, to understand the truth, that can be directly experienced, but not I or anyone, just by understanding the truth and firmer, little by little, until it's that very moment I know before that it has to be of that object just at that time, right time for it to arise. See, that's the beginning to be fully understanding of what is meant by anatta. The truth is there, gone, see. Otherwise there must be clinging again and again and again. But Panya does not has the function of clinging. It understands the truth little by little. And when it appears as what one has heard, it depends on the strength, the power of Panya, whether it can let go or eradicate what extent of Panya, to be Satapana or more, or so on, with different what you say, accumulation, to be a different one. So tears, yeah, that's
Thank you,
right.
Ajahn.
Into moment.
And the other proximate cause that Tambak mentioned was Satipatthana.
The word sati, is there sati now? Whether it is Satipatthana or not Satipatthana is not by the word, but the truth of it, which understand the difference between what is meant by Satipatthana. Without understanding, can there be what we say, what we call Satipatthana? Not just sati, but Satipatthana. So what's the meaning of patthana? It's not just hearing and wanting.
Usually we say that with Satipatthana, the sati is accompanied by panya also. Sampajanya, sati sampajanya is implied. So again, it's a co-arising situation as I see it, both for the Tirasanya and Satipatthana as proximate cause of panya.
And how many meanings are there for Satipatthana? 3 meanings. The first one is sati itself, which is different from sati at moment of dana and sila, right? Or sati without right understanding, or sati at level of understanding intellectually. See, that is not Satipatthana. So what is Satipatthana? It's sati for sure. But what is the object of Satipatthana? It's the second meaning of Satipatthana. The first one is sati itself, the nature, the cetasika, which arises to be aware of that which is now appearing. It has to be with panya. Otherwise, it's not awareness, even it experiences that object as usual. See, just touching, seeing, tasting, so on. No sati. Even the object is exactly the same. But when it is Satipatthana, it's different moment from no understanding of the truth of that at all. But the understanding is firm, thira, strong enough to know that this is that which can be directly experienced the truth because it's there. It can be understood as its nature, as it's different from other things. And no one can make it arise because it's there already. See? So when it is Satipatthana, it has to be with panya or by panya. Without panya, it cannot be Satipatthana. And this is the second meaning of Satipatthana. And the third one is this is the way to enlighten the truth, as Buddha had as his path, and his listeners, Savaka, also go on this path only. See, no other path at all to understand what is there now as it is. And the path is not like the road or the street, but it's the panya, little by little, develop the path leading to understand the truth of it, penetrate the truth which is now arising and falling away unknowingly because of the rapidity of that which arises and falls away. But panya can develop understanding and understand the different levels of understanding too. But even Buddha taught so much about all conditions now arising and falling away. It's only depending on tirasanya, how firm it is, with what level of understanding. Just remember and talk and think that I already have the path. I already understand that what is there now is conditions. I understand now that what is that condition arising and falling away. That is thinking, not understanding the difference between the direct experience, which has no I who think, but that moment, panya is there, understanding what has been heard, that it appears as it is, depending on the level of understanding. So just one word, without understanding, one take it wrongly, so it's the wrong path. So first of all, reality is so very subtle. If there is no understanding of the subtlety of any reality, it means that is ignorance, no understanding of the truth, which is hidden for a long, 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 long time. Very difficult to open it up, see, turn it, and then see many things that it has to be opened to, just one by one. And without the light, how can there be the moment of knowing what is there? So each word should be considered carefully, not just a Dipatana, come and develops Dipatana. Don't have to know anything at all, just sit doing something. It's not like that. That's why we just speak the word that Buddha taught for people to develop the understanding, to know by oneself whether what's right and what is wrong. And that is the only way. And sanya is there. But who knows how firm it is. But when Satipatthana is there, it means and it shows that Sati is strong enough, firm enough, thira enough to condition moment of understanding the difference between Sati and Satipatthana. No doubt about Satipatthana accompanied by Panya, even so very weak, but it's there. Otherwise, how can it is aware of that which is now appearing? So the firm sanya is not whether it's firm enough now. No, not at all. But the understanding of the object as is that which can be known only because it's there appearing. But when there's no understanding of the truth of what is there, it means that sanya strong enough, understanding enough, or what? Comparing to the accumulation of wrong understanding years and years ago, uncountable. So how can there be so soon the moment of Satipatthana? And even Panya, it does not just think in words, but it begins to understand that which Sati is aware of. With our Sati, which is aware of our reality and object, how can Panya understand it? That's right, it has to be when that is there appearing. And Sati is conditioned enough, well enough to be aware. But it cannot understand. And Panya, which arises together, understand from what is heard, that is so true. That characteristic is just like as it taught from the person who had enlightened the truth of it. So to be true to the truth, is there Satipatthana now? When it's there, no word, no thought, no comparing, no doubt, because it's just there, different from other moments.
Thank you, Ajahn. And something I understood is, so when the text say that sati has the proximate cause as tirasanya and satipatthana, but what about when the sati is not with understanding, like in the case of dana or sila? In such a case, tirasanya, which arises with the sati at that moment, it doesn't have understanding, and it's still tirasanya. Can you explain this point?
When there's no sanya, can we say that it's tira enough to understand the truth?
Can you say again?
When there's no panya, that sanya strong enough to understand the truth, for panya to understand the truth.
Yes, that is what I am a little bit confused.
Possible.
Because it's for sure that when we talk about the sati of satipatthana, the tirasanya has to be with panya, with understanding. But
any word which use the word tirasanya besides satipatthana?
I don't know. So when the text says that sati, the proximate cause of sati is tirasanya and satipatthana, it only means the sati of satipatthana, or?
Otherwise, it's not different. But why it's different? Why sati at that moment is aware of that characteristic which is there only. No thinking about dana or sila or anything, but it's there. Being aware of the object that is there correctly. Not just think that, oh, I know, I aware what I mean by awareness. It's not like that. But the characteristic of that which is just arise and be aware instantly by conditions. It has to be by right understanding Tira enough too. Otherwise, what is the object of Sanya to say that it is enough or strong or Tira? There has to be Panya there at that level, that it is the direct awareness, because we use the word directly aware of our reality, only one at a time. See, different from this moment. Even so, only one, but it arises and falls away in split seconds. Which one? But that moment is that one which appears. See, this is different too.
So it's the sati of the path taught by the Buddha, not awareness which arises even without any understanding, like sati that arises with bodhicitas, or sati that arises with moments of generosity or kindness in a day. They don't need tira sanya as proximate condition to arise, because just common moments of sobhanacitas arising in the day or even at night time.
Janka, can we say that sati at the level of Satipatthana, that supports all levels of kusala?
What do you mean by support? As condition. See, it arises with any moment of wholesome moment, but it's not Satipatthana. So when we use the word Satipatthana, three meanings. See, the sati itself is not sati at level of remembrance of dana, of sharing things, of giving away. See, so many things, but the moment of giving away for those who can use it is sati at that level. No understanding of the reality which is there as it is at all. It's gone right now. See, so that is not Satipatthana, because Satipatthana, first meaning, is the sati itself of that degree, which is not aware of other things by thinking about it or conditions such and such, deeds and action, but it's moment of understanding what is there to be known. Right now, anything which appears can be object of sati unexpectedly by conditions. No one can try to concentrate and have, say, sati of this and that object at will, but by conditions to understand more and more. Confidence of anatta-ness. The path is to understand Dhamma, not self, and not self mean anatta, no one and no thing at all. That's why it is only Panya which can condition Satipatthana, direct awareness of that which it hasn't been aware of before at all, just like this moment. But when Panya is enough, Tira Sanya with that which do not forget about what is heard and the truth about it, the moment of direct awareness is there. So one knows how come to have such moment, being aware, not just being aware, but that is the moment of understanding that as it is the object which Panya can understand more and more and more and more until it can directly experience the truth of what Buddha has said, arising and falling away by conditions, to have more confidence to understand the truth. No one there. Before there can be the progress of the strong, right understandings, very sharp to the moment of enlightenment, the truth. Otherwise, what's meant by enlightenment? What is there? Thinking? Not at all. Just touch and be aware? Not at all. Just much more than that. That what is said can be directly experienced. That's why the idea of self and the attachment to such idea has been completely eradicated never to arise again at all. And this is the understanding of the depth of the very, very deep meaning of the truth of whatever is there now, from life to life unknown. Live in blindness, taking it for something, like it, from moment of birth to the end of his life, and keep on going by conditions, samsara. So even just understand one word like no one, no self, Dhamma, Rupa, Nama, can condition moment of understanding what is meant by samsara and other words in the teachings, and understand what is meant by Satipatana and Sati, not mistake something as Sati, which is wrong.
And I think that, for example, in the Visuddhimagga, where it mentions about Tirasanya and Satipatthana as the conditions, I think it's under the section of developing understanding. So it is in the light of the development of Satipatthana, like the previous paragraph about Sada, it mentions about the proximate causes, hearing of the good Dharma, Saddharma, and that constitute the factors of stream entry, is not just referring to Sada that arises with any Sobhana Chitta. So it's all in relation to the development of the path, the development of Satipatthana.
Okay, that's clear. Thank you. And
so it's always the context that is important. Yes.
Okay.
Carry on, sorry.
Yes, I also appreciate the point John mentioned about understanding the word proximate cause as something arising together with. So can that also be applied to, let's say, when talking about the proximate cause of panya? So the text says concentration is the proximate cause. So it can
Exactly.
be also as arising together with, right?
The Sama Samadhi conditions, the Samadhi and vice versa, they're both proximate condition for each other. They have to arise and develop together. Exactly. It's not like have right concentration and then have right understanding. No, they develop together. So they condition each other by arising and developing together.
Yes, very good. I think that's really a very important point.
It's very important because people misunderstand and think that first there have to be the right efforts and then right understanding, or right concentration, then right understanding, or in this case, firm remembrance, then Satipatthana. But it's talking about what conditions by Sahajata and other conditions together at that moment.
Okay, thank you.
I heard the word Passat Ayatana used yesterday, and I've never heard that word before. and I think I'm not sure what ayatana means anymore. So Achan, it was you mentioned Phassa ayatana. My understanding of ayatana is its meeting place, and ayatana only refers to the, for example, eye consciousness arises with 7 jeta seekers. And so my question is does ayatana mean more? What can you explain ayatana to me, please, Ajahn?
Yes. Shall we translate the word ayatana? Kun Sundra, please.
Base. I think it means base.
Usually it means often, it can be translated in different ways, but I like your translation, Tanajan, as meeting place. It literally means a location in the conventional sense of the word, just means a place or even a home. But your definition, because we're talking about the meeting of consciousness and object, we're talking about a meeting place, metaphorically speaking. So I think that's what you said is quite correct, Tanajan. It'll always depend on the context.
So what is there now at this very moment? Only one moment. See, what is there is ayatana, right? The meeting. Without the reality, can it be a meeting place? It's just there. But when the experiencing an object is there arising, not just alone, it needs other support or conditions. For example, there must be the eye sense arising and hasn't fallen away yet. Otherwise, it cannot condition the moment of experiencing an object which impinge on it, right? So what are there? Must be ayatana, each one, because it's there. How can we miss it? Take it away, get out. Impossible. That's why what is there is ayatana. That's why in Tipitaka, there is the word patsayatana. And can there be sanyayatana? Because sanya is there. So the understanding about the word, which is true, cannot be changed at all. Sanya has to be there. So what is meant by meeting point, place, birthplace, what is there together to condition just a moment of experiencing an object right now. See, it can be known that there must be the eye base, the rupa, which is the only rupa that whisper can contact or impinge on it. But it cannot understand anything when it's rupa. So the eye base cannot see. It's just that special, the different reality, which has such different characteristics that only that which is seen can impinge on it, only to condition just the moment of seeing, no matter when, where, how. When it's seeing, it is only seeing, it sees, that's all. It's there now. So what are there is not known, but the Buddha pointed out what are there to be there. Cannot miss it at all. There must be the base, eye base, and that which impinges on it, and that and the reality which directly experience it, and the other mental factor arising together condition the reality which arises to experience. Otherwise, there cannot be any experiencing at all. And we just talk about the word in Tipitaka, like the highest jhana, neva sanya, na sanya, yatana. See, even so, it has to be there, even so very, very, very subtle. So when there is the understanding of the word, which means what? Never change at all, no matter it's there as pasayatana, vedana yasana, sanya yatana, it's there in Tipitaka. Look more, read more, and then you come to the word pasayatana. Why? Because it's so true, it's real. It can be taught. the way it is, to be understood as it is. Otherwise, can we use this word? What does it mean? Something like that. But each word has different characteristics as strong or very subtle too, like Aswa and Kilesa and Nivarana. So is there any doubt about the meaning of what we mean by Phassa, by Ayatana?
Well, no, I guess not. But so Ayatana specifically relates to that moment of citta arising at the Pasada Rupa and experiencing the visible object, including those 7 jez seekers. Is it as specific as that? Does that what Ayatana mean?
What is meant by the meeting point of place? What's the meaning of that?
Just that moment of those realities coming together.
Okay.
This moment, any moment.
Yes.
Any moment.
This moment, even if
Right,
we're
yes,
sleeping or
yeah.
dreaming or Bhavanga Chitta, any moment of.
And I was looking just in the little dictionary, and it mentioned the higher spheres, and like the jhanic states, and that confused me. But I guess I don't need to go there because jhana is not in my life.
It's just the same, like John mentioned, even the highest jhana, at that moment, there is the meeting place, the coming together of the citta and chaitasikas. So it has to be ayatana. There has to be the coming together of ayatanas at any moment in life, even at the first moment of life, when the patisandhi citta arises. There is the meeting of the citta, the chaitasikas at that very moment. So it's this moment or any moment. So we read about manayatana, but actually any citta. We can talk about bhavangayatana or any citta is ayatana. And dhammayatana, any chaitasikas that meet or come together at this moment. That's why it mentions pasayatana, or it could be sanya ayatana or virya ayatana, whenever it arises and meets.
Right. Well, that's expanded my knowledge a little bit. Thank you, because I just thought it was just this moment of the eye consciousness, the rupa that is seen. Yeah, okay, that's expanded.
What about at the moment now of thinking about what is seen? At the moment of thinking, there's still the meeting of no seeing, no eye sense, but there is the thinking, the citta, the manayatana, meeting with the chaitasikas at that moment, more chaitasikas, and each one is ayatana.
So could you also include in that, for example, lopayatana?
Any chaitasika. So this moment of this moment of thinking with loba, then the thinking, the citta is ayatana, and any chaitasikas that arise, loba, ignorance, and so on. Each one is ayatana. Coming together, associating at this very moment, and then gone.
Okay, thank you. That's really helped me a lot. I was thinking before, I don't really want to ask this question, but anyway, thank you. Thank you, Achan.
It seems as if the word place is what can mislead people in the expression meeting place. And that's by thinking of place as something conventional, a location, but it's really not.
Yeah, I think you're right, Anne. I think that's where what I was thinking of. Yeah, thanks.
It's really the associating or meeting of the dharmas at this moment or any moment, like they give the example of the balancing on the needle point at the moment of the coming together of those particular realities. They balance together for a split instance in a magical way and then gone by conditions.
Right, because that's the other question I had was the difference between ayatana and dhatu, like elements. I mean, that dhatu covers everything, but ayatana is a little bit more specific in that it talks about those certain realities coming together now.
It's particularly referring to the meeting of those realities at this particular moment, whereas dhatus is referring to the arising of any reality at all, even nibbana or any other reality is dhatu.
Right. Okay, that's really wonderful. Thank you.
I like you're using the word associating, Sarah.
They meet and they associate at this very moment.
Right, meet and associate.
For example, visible object may impinge on eye sense, but if there is no experiencing of it, no associating with that visible object, then it's not ayatana.
Yeah, that's why associate is so important. Yeah.
Well, we could probably call our Zoom discussion an ayatana, joking.
Don't push your luck, Aziza.
And it does, while I like that word association also, but in the text, conventionally speaking, ayatana does have that. It is actually a place or even a home, so it has that conventional meaning. And I can imagine in the Buddha's time, that would have been the meaning of it, generally accepted. But often he would have used, and he had to use, the local language to convey his truths. And then, of course, like we were talking about with wirya, or a warrior, or courage, he amplified on those meanings. So like Azita there, kind of getting a better perspective on what these concepts can relate to. They also have, that conventional the conventional meaning, as many terms do. They have different levels of understanding, like we were talking a moment ago with sati. It has many different levels. So it's always going to depend on the context and what the person who is speaking about that truth is. And this is why we, in a sense, come together to talk about what these, because we have to use concepts, we have to use language to understand deeper truths. And it's by considering these different aspects, these different conceptual truths, if you like, carefully, that we can develop a better understanding of what they really relate to, or what they can relate to.
Yes, I can see that. I think today we're using today's language, so in some ways the meeting place is figurative speech for associating, this place of associate, not even place, association. Anyway, thank you, Sundara, for the background on that.
Yesterday I had a peculiar experience. Well, maybe it's a little late to talk about it, but the thing is that some people contact me because they wanted to, they read the Spanish translation I made of the Buddhism and COVID. And first they invited me to go. They told me they were opening like a meditation center, and they invited me to go either to meditate or to give a talk or something to their place, which I thought it was a little funny, because if they read the text, why would they be inviting me to meditate? Can you hear me well? Because I'm yeah, you can?
Yes,
I can hear you well, Roti. I can hear you well too.
Because
Yes.
I'm seeing a little sign that says that my connection is not good. But anyway, the thing is that eventually we decided. Well, I told him that I was not interested in meditation because I was that the thing that I was interested in was understanding the Buddha's teaching, not meditating. So eventually they decided to have a Zoom talk yesterday. And well, it was a bit moving because one of the guys who was there, he was very touched about what I said. And somehow he understood that that we couldn't really do anything other than listen to the teaching, right? And that understanding will develop by itself, not somebody doing anything or making understanding happen or something like that. And well, I forgot what I was going to say. But anyway.
Well, at least you had one listener who seemed to understand.
Yeah.
So that's positive, I would say.
I think so.
Yeah, he told me that he felt that he was having the experience of 10th century China with a certain like Zen teacher. He gave me the name, who used to tell his students like, "Oh, stop practicing, go back home," or something like that. But there was something that I wanted to say, but I forgot about it. I'm sorry.
I think what you were trying.
Did they ask you to come back another time at the end?
I mean, particularly this guy was very interested. The woman who invited me first, she's like a researcher in an important university here in Mexico City, and she was very much like with this kind of thinking, like she was saying, "Oh yeah, I mean, all this thing about not self makes a lot of sense, but what about? But that's all like intellectual. What about real understanding right now, right?" So I told. Sorry,
Rotti, I was just saying that I believed what you were saying originally was that you had done this translation of the COVID thing and they wanting to get together for a meditation gathering because they thought or they interpreted that as you were interested in that area. And my take on that would be that because there's such a heavy layering of meditation within the Buddhist world, that's an easy kind of take to bring to that kind of understanding. So that's where I believe where you were initially going.
Yeah, well, they say they were like trying to open like a place for meditation, and that they would like me to go there and to give a talk or to meditate. And that's when I told them that my interest was in understanding the Buddha's teaching and not meditation. So actually this lady, she answered the email saying, "Oh, thank you. That was a very nice response, right? So would you like to give a talk, man?" So she decided to have a Zoom talk. So we had it yesterday.
It sounds quite a good response, really. So hopefully you'll get another chance to discuss with them.
Yeah, it sounds optimistic. Sounds optimistic, Rotti.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I was very happy about it. Yeah.
I think it often starts with people wanting to meditate, and it takes a while for them to realize that this may not, A, isn't what you're talking about, and B, that it's not the only way to look at it. make that transfer. But yeah, the fact that there's somebody who was really interested and getting it on some level, and they want to come back, that's good.
And Brodie too, you know, we've all been to that place, or most of us anyway, at some level or other, you know, have been in that inverted commas meditating world. And that's where, because almost automatically these days people think of that idea, and because they haven't, in my view, been fortunate enough to not only to meet Tana Jam, because you need more than that. You need to consider carefully what the word of the Buddha is really about. And if you haven't got a good teacher, but it sounds really, you know, really optimistic. But again, I think
it's only fourth set, so
You know, yeah, I know. So if he wins this,
if Tiafoe wins it,
then he's up 2-1. And if
Tiafoe wins, he's 3. Oh, yeah, 2-1.
It's one.
Tom, your audio is on.
And
I think it's time we wrap it up and let Ajahn go. We can carry on with this discussion next time, Roti.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
See whether it's optimistic or realistic. Okay, Sawadika, Ajahn. Thank you very much.
Sawadika.